It is 3 o'clock in the morning, the house is perfectly silent, and you are awake again. For many of you, this is a nightly ritual you never signed up for, staring at the ceiling and wondering if you will ever get back to sleep, or if you should just get up and start the day exhausted. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know that you are not the only one feeling this frustration, and contrary to what you might have been told, this is not just a standard part of getting older that you have to accept. When you interrupt your deep sleep cycles multiple times a night, your body loses its chance to repair itself, your heart stays under pressure, and your brain misses out on its essential cleaning process. We are not going to talk about generic advice like drinking less water or just living with it. Instead, we are going to explore a solution grounded in serious physiology and recent clinical data. We are going to look at how specific neural pathways in your body can be retrained to help you sleep through the night. The approach we are discussing today comes from a deep dive into randomized clinical trials, where researchers have spent decades understanding how stimulating specific nerve points can actually reprogram bladder function. What is fascinating about this research is that in many cases, proper physical stimulation can be as effective as medication, but without the dry mouth, dizziness, or other uncomfortable side effects that come with pills. We are going to walk through 3 specific pressure points and 1 crucial evening exercise that can fundamentally change your morning energy levels. Before we get into the technique, let's strip away the mystery and look at the engineering of your body. You can think of your bladder as a simple storage tank equipped with 2 main controls, a brake that holds everything in and a gas pedal that tells you it is time to go. The issue is that as we move into our 60s and beyond, the wiring between these controls and the brain can get a little crossed. The gas pedal becomes overly sensitive, sending urgent alarms to your brain that the tank is full when it is actually only at 30% capacity. So, why do we focus on the leg to fix a bladder problem? It comes down to shared circuitry. The nerves in your lower leg connect to the exact same control center in your spine as your bladder does. By applying precise pressure to specific areas on the skin, we are sending a signal up the leg that acts like a jamming frequency for those false alarms. It is similar to recalibrating a sensitive motion sensor on your front porch that turns the floodlights on every time a leaf blows by. We are simply teaching your nervous system to stop reacting to the wind. The first point we need to locate is perhaps the most well-researched area for this specific issue. In clinical terms, it is called SP6, but you might hear it referred to as sanyin. The reason we start here is that this specific point was the common denominator in 4 major clinical trials regarding non-invasive bladder control. It is essentially the gold standard. To find it, you need to be very precise, as being off by an inch can miss the nerve connection entirely. Sit comfortably and cross one leg over the other so you can reach your ankle. Locate the medial malleolus, which is that prominent, round bone on the inside of your ankle. Take your hand and place your 4 fingers horizontally, with your pinky finger resting directly on the center of that ankle bone. The point we are looking for is located right above the top edge of your index finger. Now, here is the detail that most people miss. The point is not in the soft, fleshy part of the calf muscle, but it is also not directly on the shin bone. It is located in the small, tender depression tucked right behind the edge of the tibia bone. If you press and feel hard bone, you are too far forward. If you feel thick muscle, you are too far back. You want to slide your thumb into that deep groove right against the bone. When you stimulate this point, you need to use steady, deep pressure. We are not just rubbing the skin, we are trying to signal a nerve that lies deeper. You are looking for a specific sensation that acupuncturists call DQ. It isn't a sharp, stinging pain. If you feel that, you might be pressing on a bruise or pushing too hard. Instead, you want to feel a dull, heavy ache, or perhaps a mild sensation of electricity traveling slightly up the leg. That heavy, distended feeling is your confirmation that you have engaged the nerve. Massage this spot in a circular, clockwise motion for about 2 minutes on each leg. Make sure you are in a comfortable position where your leg muscles can relax, because if you are tense, the signal won't travel as effectively. The science behind this is compelling. In a landmark randomized trial led by researchers in Sweden, the group that received active stimulation on this specific point saw a massive 67% reduction in daytime incontinence, compared to only 16% in the placebo group. For nighttime specifically, the data suggests that this stimulation helps increase the functional capacity of the bladder. This means your brain retrains itself to hold a larger volume of fluid, perhaps allowing you to sleep until the bladder holds 350 milliliters instead of waking you up at 200. If you are following along and this makes sense to you, I invite you to join our community by acknowledging this video, as it helps us reach more people struggling with these same silent sleep thieves. Moving on, the second point is located near the knee and is known as ST36. In traditional practices, this was often called the point of 100 diseases because of its use in treating exhaustion. However, modern medical imaging has shown us exactly why this point is so powerful for the bladder. Functional MRI studies have revealed that stimulating ST36 activates the prefrontal cortex of the brain. This is the executive control center, the part of your brain responsible for making decisions and, crucially, for inhibition. When we are infants, we have no prefrontal control, so the bladder empties whenever it pleases. As we grow, this part of the brain learns to say, "not yet." In older adults dealing with nocturia, that inhibition signal can become weak or quiet. Stimulating ST36 acts like a volume knob, turning that control signal back up. It reinforces the neural pathway that tells the bladder to stay calm, helping your brain distinguish between a true emergency and a minor irritation. To locate ST36, sit with your feet flat on the floor. Cup your hand over your kneecap with your fingers pointing down. Your ring finger should naturally land in a small depression on the outside of your shin bone. To make 100% sure you are in the right spot, keep your finger there and flex your foot up and down. You should feel a muscle popping up and down underneath your finger. That is the tibialis anterior muscle. Once you have found it, you need to apply firm, digging pressure with your thumb or a knuckle. We are aiming to affect the deep peroneal nerve here, so superficial rubbing won't do the trick. Spend 2 minutes here with a focused, digging massage. Beyond just bladder control, this point is strongly linked to reducing cortisol levels. Since high-stress hormones at night can irritate the bladder lining, working on this point attacks the problem from two angles, improving neurological control and lowering chemical stress in the body. I am always curious to know where our listeners are tuning in from and how different cultures view these techniques. I would love to hear from you in the comments about whether your local healthcare system embraces these physical therapies, or if they are still viewed as alternative where you live. It is fascinating to compare notes across borders. Now let's move to the third point, which is the gentlest of the set. This is key I3, located near the heel. While the first 2 points focused on the brain and nerves, this point is often associated with the vascular health of the pelvic organs. You can find it in the hollow space between your inner ankle bone and your Achilles tendon, that thick cord at the back of your heel. This area is much more sensitive than the knee, so we do not need to use heavy force here. Instead, use a gentle pinching or squeezing motion, as if you are lightly massaging the Achilles tendon from both sides. This stimulation supports the autonomic nervous system, helping to shift your body into a state of rest. It is an excellent, cool-down point to use right before you pull the covers up, as it promotes local circulation in the pelvis. Poor circulation can lead to a lack of oxygen in the bladder tissues, making the muscle irritable and prone to spasms, so keeping this area healthy is a key piece of the puzzle. Now, we need to address a hidden cause of night urination that many general doctors overlook, but which cardiologists understand very well. Have you ever wondered why you can sit at your desk for 4 hours during the day without needing the bathroom, but the moment you fall asleep, you are waking up every 2 hours? The answer often isn't your bladder at all, it is your legs. As we age, the veins in our legs become less efficient at pumping blood back up to the heart against gravity. Throughout the day, fluid leaks out of the blood vessels and pools in the tissues of your ankles and calves. You might notice this as a sock mark or a little swelling in the evening. This is called peripheral edema. When you lie down flat in bed, gravity is no longer holding that fluid in your feet. It rushes back into your bloodstream, effectively increasing your blood volume. Your heart notices this sudden surge and thinks, "There is too much fluid in the system. This is dangerous for blood pressure." To protect you, the heart releases a hormone called atrial natriuretic peptide. This hormone travels to the kidneys with a strict order: dump fluid immediately. Your kidneys go into overdrive, producing urine 3 or 4 times faster than they do during the day. You aren't waking up because your bladder is small. You are waking up because your kidneys are frantically trying to save your heart from fluid overload. This brings us to the most critical exercise in this entire protocol, the figure 4 drainage. This movement is designed to physically reverse that gravity problem before you go to sleep, so your kidneys can do their work while you are still awake. You need to do this on a firm surface, like a yoga mat or a carpeted floor. Lie on your back and scoot your hips close to a wall, extending your legs straight up so your body forms an L shape. Rest here for about 5 minutes. This passive elevation allows that pooled fluid to drain out of the ankles and towards the lymph nodes in the groin. Next, bend your right knee and place your right outer ankle across your left thigh, just above the knee. Your legs will look like the number 4. This position opens the hips and relaxes the pelvic floor. While you are in this pose, your SP6 point on the inner ankle is perfectly exposed and relaxed, so you can massage it right there for 2 minutes. Finally, perform a milking massage on your calves. Grip your calf muscle with both hands and stroke firmly downwards from your heel toward your knee. You are manually pushing that stagnant fluid back into circulation. Timing is absolutely everything here. You must do this routine at least 1 hour to 90 minutes before you plan to sleep. This is non-negotiable. If you do this exercise right before you close your eyes, that fluid will re-enter your system and fill your bladder while you are trying to sleep. You want to trigger that fluid processing while you are reading or watching TV, so you can empty your bladder one last time and get rid of that phantom water before the lights go out. Alongside this, we have to look at your hydration curve. Your kidneys slow down at night, so you should aim to consume about 75% of your daily water intake before 400 p.m. If you try to catch up on hydration after dinner, you are essentially scheduling a 200 a.m. wake-up call. Also, be mindful of salt and sugar in your evening meal. Water follows solutes like a magnet. If you eat a salty or sugary dinner, your body holds onto fluid to dilute it, only to release it all once your blood pressure stabilizes in bed. Try to keep your evening meals focused on lean proteins and vegetables to avoid this magnetic effect. I want to be realistic with you because your health is serious business. While these pressure points and exercises are powerful tools, they are not a replacement for medical care if you have an underlying condition. If you are constantly thirsty with a dry mouth, this could be a sign of blood sugar issues where the body is flushing glucose. If you snore heavily or stop breathing during sleep, sleep apnea creates stress hormones that force the kidneys to produce urine. And for men, if you have a weak stream or feel like you can't empty fully, the prostate may be mechanically blocking the way. If you recognize these symptoms, please see a specialist. Think of acupressure as a powerful ally to your medical care, not a substitute. To summarize your new nightly protocol, about 90 minutes before bed, perform the figure 4 wall exercise to drain the fluid from your legs. Combine this with the deep massage of the SP6 point on the ankle. Later, as you are winding down, stimulate the ST36 point near your knee and finish with the gentle squeeze of the KI3 point near your heel. Give your body 4 to 6 weeks to adjust to this new signaling. You are retraining a nervous system that has had years of bad habits, so be patient with yourself, although many people do notice a difference within the first few days. I know how exhausting it is to face the day without proper rest, and I truly hope these techniques bring you the relief you deserve. If you have any questions about finding the points or the technique, please leave a comment. I do my best to read them and help where I can. Here is to a quiet, restful